Welcome to the highly anticipated Apex Legends episode of No Player Connected. We were going to attempt this in the BR mode, the Battle Royale mode, but how did that go, Clem?
Oh, well.
Do you hear that? She said it went well.
They ended up going really well. Like, the last ones, we were popping up.
We were, and we
found our groove.
We came in second place like 2 or 3 times. One of those, I don't think we saw anyone except for the team that came in first place. So that was pretty good.
That was by design. Context already. You are level 50. You are not an Apex player. You don't play
You just
Apex.
outed me. I could have been the most hardcore Apex player ever. You're the hard
Sorry,
Apex
I'll leave you to reveal that in your own time.
Yeah.
Do you want to come out with the Apex closet? We'll go in there.
I don't know. I really don't know. I enjoyed playing it. Every time I boot up this game, I do have fun, even though I don't feel like I'm good at it. I'm not like you. Full disclosure, this is a Clem episode. This is not a me episode. She's the Apex legend. They named it after her.
It's true.
I'm a casual Apexer.
You're not casual. You don't play the game. You're level 50.
I've got 5 wins in Season 2.
Yeah, you haven't played since Season 2. Like, we played, I think, maybe 4 games in Season 9 together. And that's the entirety of Apex that you've played since Season 2.
I feel like we've immediately, if anyone's interested in Apex, they would just immediately tune out of this. I'd be like...
Well, I wanted to explain why we, by design, didn't see anybody until the end of the game. Because I was, letting you loot up. I was, letting you, get used to the movement, the buttons, the map, etc. in those early games.
Right.
Anyone listening, I've got 4,000 hours in the game. You're fine. You're in the right place.
You're in good hands.
Yeah.
Her mighty, mighty hands. I don't know how big your hands are or how mighty they are.
They're large.
Really?
Yeah. Well, not you wouldn't be like, oh my god. But if you saw them on a man, you'd be like, oh, what beautiful feminine hands. You'd be like, yeah, okay. They're big enough. You might not comment.
I might.
James?
I might. I was just laughing. I was gasping for air.
Come back.
No, I was just imagining you with huge pancake hands and being like, well, they're not that big. That'd be badass.
Like my keyboard specially made.
It's 3 times the size. You're being incredibly modest about your exceptionally large hands.
Normal hands. Large, for, my feet are also,
okay, careful.
1 or 2
careful.
sizes.
You're a lady on the internet. You should not be talking about your feet. For free.
Listen, if I can get me some money, yeah, I was gonna say, if anyone does want a foot pick, or both, let me know, because I'm down for it. I am down.
Me too.
I'm also made redundant this week. So, any, Imby Pims on Discord, feet pics.
Oh, no. Yeah, or me. I don't...
What?
Would I sell my feet pics? I'll have to consult my producer about that.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. This is about Apex Legends, by the way.
Yeah.
Clem, for people who don't know what this game is, the people who are still here, who've endured this and don't know what the game is, can you give, the briefest of brief rundowns?
Yeah, it's a battle royale, so are we assuming that people know what a battle royale is?
Oh, let's assume
this is a gaming podcast.
They're fresh out of the womb. Let's assume they're coming hot off of the point-and-click adventure episode.
Okay, battle royale. So you and your squad of 2 or 3 people jump out of a plane with everybody else at the start of the game, and you can land anywhere on the map that you choose. You then loot. You don't spawn with loot. You pick loot up off of the ground. And as you're looting, time passes, and the ring, which is the area of the map that you can exist inside without burning to death, gets smaller and more powerful throughout the game, pushing everybody together until there's only one team left as they fight to the death in an ever-decreasing circle. That's Apex Legends.
Why are we fighting in this game? Is this a televised event? Is this punitive? Oh, okay.
I mean, I think it's televised. So the Apex games are run by an organization, and the legends are actually famous. And so I've had a lot of questions about this, and I should have prepared. I don't know if these are like the real people that go into the games, because they can't die, right? Because they're famous and they keep coming back.
And famous people do not die.
No, but also, how would they ever build up any fame if they die?
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Maybe they just literally kill everyone else, like a gladiator. There's
a lot of lore in Apex, so I can tell you some lore as we go throughout the episode if it crops up. But yeah, essentially, this is a lot of the legends are famous across the Outlands. The Outlands is the world that Apex takes place in. So some of the shorts, when they release a new legend, it will be like a clip of a guy giving an interview in the press, or it will be a huge party that somebody hosts, and like the party they introduce the new legend and the crowd goes wild. You know, like these are celebrities in the Outlands, but they are also typically in the Apex games to earn money or to get power to complete their own personal quests and journeys. So they often have an intent, a reason to be there. Either like the Apex games have saved them and it's given them a purpose, or for example, Bangalore was looking for her brother, so she came to the Apex games, I think, to get some money so she could go and find it. I can't remember. Whatever. They're popular. People love them.
Okay, so this isn't Fortnite where Darth Vader and Sasuke and Chris Redfield are just loading up. These are characters that are distinct and have their own backstories.
Absolutely. I can say firmly, Darth Vader will not be appearing in Apex Legends.
That's a shame.
Any season, yeah.
Any season. Really? Well, you have Caustic. He's kind of like Darth Vader, right?
I haven't seen Star Wars.
Like, at all?
I mean, I know about it. It hasn't escaped my consciousness as a member of society. I did study a little bit of George Lucas at university, but I didn't necessarily watch the movie. As a typical student, didn't watch the films. No, but I do know that Hayden Christensen was beloved for his depiction of young Darth Vader.
Yeah, do you think he could get in this game?
I would love that.
Would he fit into the game better than just Darth Vader? I'm talking about the human person.
Yeah, for sure. Like these are people.
Darth Vader's a person.
Oh, isn't he like a space man? This is about Apex, not like do this with your Star Wars episode guy, okay?
Alright, fine. So, what would you say sets this game apart from the other battle royales? And I'm just hazarding a guess that the distinct characters is probably a part of that, since a lot of times you just go in other games with a blank slate, not defined person. So, I mean,
in PUBG, for example, you're just Anon 1 and you're all the same and you're like, whatever, who gives a shit? You've got a gun, it's COD in a battle royale format. And that might have undermined PUBG. I don't mean to say that PUBG is as shit as Call of Duty. I'm just saying, like, that's what you're dealing with. Apex Legends, not only are there a myriad of characters who have very distinct personalities and animations and all that stuff, which really does bring a lot of joy to the game. Like, we can talk about that later because it's something that I love in general in video games. And they were heavily inspired by Overwatch to do this. But also, every legend has their own unique abilities. And if you're 3-stacking, if you're playing with friends, you can pick legends that complement one another. Like, some are defensive, some are aggressive, etc. But not only that, I think more than any other battle royale, like, there's a huge focus on movement. And this was initially, I mean, it's made by the guys that made Titanfall Respawn, right? So that was a huge movement game. And it's using the same engine, but they didn't necessarily consider Apex to be a movement game. The devs didn't. They might have thought, slide jumping. There's minimal amounts of movement. It's a little bit more slippery than PUBG, but it's not the movement behemoth that it's become. But over time, there was this cult subculture of players who were testing the limits of how the engine like interacted with stuff, and they would go into the firing range and just do the same thing over and over and over again and try to replicate like accidents that they'd had whilst playing the game, where they would like slide really far all of a sudden or like get flung up into the air. And over time, movement has become such a core mechanic in the game that last season, I think was the first time they did it, the devs started using these movement techniques like wall bouncing, just like more of the basic ones, in the trailers for the game, in like the gameplay trailers. They'd never done it before, but they realized half of the success of Apex was coming from the ability to like lift the skill ceiling higher with movement. So the devs have started to embrace it. There's a thing called tap strafing, where if you bind W to your mouse scroll wheel, the way that the game is built, it will move, if you turn at the same time whilst pressing W rapidly, it will move you like in really quick, small, cute angles, right? Which gives you an instant 180 without losing momentum if you're like slide jumping, if you're running. Whereas typically if you just turn around with looking without doing the tap strafing, you would lose all of your momentum. So it allows you to redirect instantly, dodge bullets, stuff like that. And the devs tried to remove it. Huge backlash. This was probably about 5 seasons ago. Huge backlash. Streamers were rioting. Movement players were really upset. They wanted to remove it because controller players can't do it. That's a different story for another day.
I know how you feel about them.
Yeah, the same as everyone else does that plays on MK. But devs realized eventually, fuck, this is what makes our game a success, actually. This is where people fucking love this shit, and they've like embraced it recently. So this is the movement abilities BR, but games are mostly won by gun skill, not abilities. That it's not. It's probably like relatively on par with Valorant in terms of how much the abilities play a role. And I mean, Valorant famously is like, it's not abilities led, but it is. Like, there's a lot more ability impact in there than I think they'd like to admit, and it's probably quite the same in Apex. But ultimately, if you're good at moving and you're good at shooting your gun, you'll win regardless of abilities.
I just want to know how much you would say a character's abilities impacts like the play style. Like, if I'm to play like I don't even know the whole roster here, but I usually play medic. I used to play Gibraltar and Pathfinder a little bit, but if I were to play those guys, how much does that change my play style compared to like Bangalore or Wraith?
Oh, hugely. And I mean, I say hugely. If you can play any character the same, and like movement gods in the game will prove that to you by picking up Gibby and also Wraith and moving the same way. But so, for example, there's a million things to consider, but you might go, okay, well, Catalyst, for example, she's a defensive legend. She can close doors. She locks doors. They have to be kicked down. She has a wall which, blocks your vision. She has goop that she puts on the floor to create barriers to entry that has to be shot first, and you have to get right up to it to shoot it. Like, she's a lockdown, a building legend. And I think there's... what we need to consider is, so when you play Apex, you play... If we're talking about BR specifically, there's pubs. Everyone hot drops, tries to kill each other really quickly. There's ranked, there's a lot of ratting, still kind of a bit mid. There'll be 3-stack Masters, Pred players killing Platinum players because the matchmaking's kind of shit, especially this season. And then there's ALGS, where you'll get 18 squads in the final circle, all knowing precisely how to play and where to play because they know that one team can't shoot them without another team shooting the other team, right? So across that spectrum, you already have different ways to play all the characters, but at the top level in ALGS, which is the Apex Legends Global Series for the professional players, all of the characters will typically be played specifically how they're designed to be played. Right, so like you'll pick Watson, Catalyst, and you'll hold up in a tiny room. You don't do the movement. You might employ a little bit of movement, but typically you won't see it there because you'll get punished for it, and it's not really a big brawl. But in pubs, which is what we'll primarily probably be talking about here for generic conversation, we can talk about ALGS in its own like section. Things like defensive legends, they might play in a different area of the map. If you're Watson, you're going to play around doors that you can trap. You're going to play around tiny openings. You're going to play around zip lines to trap people, right? There's stuff like that. But you also need to consider, for example, Wraith and Watson and Lifeline have the smallest hitboxes in the game. So if you want to be a movement player, pick those guys, and then you're even harder to hit, right?
That sounds Whereas if you play infuriating, because I already struggle to hit people in this.
Right, and so that's a big advantage. You should, like, if that's your playstyle, if your playstyle is aggressive movement based, you should pick a legend with a small profile. Whereas a legend like Gibby is great if you are gonna hold down an area, perhaps at a distance. Like if you want to snipe, Gibby's great. If you want to be a real like anchor for your team, if you're playing a very team based style, which is probably a bit more suited to ranked, you might play Gibby because then you can put your dome down, you can res them. But because you're massive, you're not really going to benefit from that movement the same way a low profile character would. But to compensate for that, Gibby, when he gets shot, doesn't get slowed. So if you get shot and you're about to slide jump, you will lose momentum because you get the slow and you need the velocity to like carry off the slide jump and a lot of movement. So sometimes you'll go to do movement, you'll get shot, and then you just head like face plant a wall. Gibby wouldn't, but he's fucking massive, so you're probably not going to be playing him anyway. He also takes less damage. The big boys take less damage, like Newcastle, Gibby, and Caustic, because they're so big and easy to hit. They take like 15% less damage from bullets. So there's loads of stuff to consider when approaching your playstyle. It's not just, do they have like offensive abilities? Because Watson's very small but has defensive abilities, right? Whereas Pathfinder is very offensive. Like, he can grapple onto you from anywhere, but he's a giant fucking fridge. Okay, very easy to hit a Pathfinder. So there's a lot of things to consider, like based on your playstyle and what guns you like to use, even. Sorry, I feel like that was a bit of a ramble.
No, that was good. That really shows that there's some serious depth to this game. Do you have any recommendations for, I don't know, like maybe a new player or a returning player, maybe had their heyday in Season 2, is looking to get back on that horse? Purely hypotheticals like that. Who
they should, maybe they've got 5 wins and 50 wins from Season 2?
Well, I wouldn't say that. That's awfully specific, but yeah, what's a nice way to dip your toes in as a newer player or returning? Keeping it very simple, nothing too complicated.
Personally, I mean, if you want to play a very simple legend, you're playing Lifeline right now. That's great. But Lifeline's very team-oriented. Like, her res ability is like, I'm going to support my team. If you just want an easy legend that has survivability because you don't want to let your team down by dying and stuff like that, I played Wraith for this reason, and Wraith is quite a contentious character in Apex because it is what all the movement... She is the character that all the movement sweats typically sort of gravitate towards, predominantly, especially the non-streamers. Like, the people in-game, like, the kids that want to be movement players will all be playing Wraith. But I picked her up when I wanted to learn the game properly because she's very simple, right? She doesn't have a complicated kit. It's very difficult to use most of it wrong. Maybe the portal you can use incorrectly in a ranked game or an ALGS game, but like in pubs, who gives a shit? So race abilities are a passive. So if somebody looks at you and aims down sight at you, she'll say someone's looking at you. So if you're new and you don't have that like map awareness, the game sense that's necessary, Wraith will tell you that. Often it is a bit too late and you might already be knocked when you get that voice warning. But it can come in clutch. Or you can do what I did today, hear it, and then run into the person directly that was aiming at me because I heard that voice warning and assumed that they were going to be in the distance, but they were just crouching nearby, and I died to that. I'm not perfect. Her other abilities are her Q, which is her tactical ability. That's what you call you press Q to activate it. It's not called a Q. It's just a colloquialism. That makes you go invisible. There's a slight delay. I don't know if it's like 1.5, 2 seconds delay, where you're like ramping up your invisibility. So you have to like jump around a bit. And then you can just go a little 30% faster, being invisible and invulnerable, but you leave like a blue trail, so they know where you went, but they can't shoot you during this time. It used to be instant, but that was declared overpowered.
By the powers that be.
Yeah, by the developers in this case. But yeah, so Wraith tells you when you're getting looked at, and if you're in a bad spot, press Q, get to cover, because maybe what you just started playing the game, you don't use cover as much as perhaps an experienced player would. You don't know the routes through stuff as well, so maybe you find yourself caught in the open occasionally. She's a very forgiving character in that sense. Take a bit of damage, press Q, go back to your team, run away. Very good for new players.
I like
Obviously,
that.
James, you don't get to play Wraith, I do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but I like the flow chart that you've laid out. Take damage, press Q.
Yeah.
Didn't take damage,
It's simple.
show off your cool knife to anyone spectating you.
Oh yeah, you gotta spam the inspect on your heirloom if you play Wraith. That's actually the first thing they teach you in Wraith school.
Wraith Academy. Everyone present your... Wait, what'd you call it?
Heirloom?
Heirloom, yeah, of course. Every FPS has shit like that now. They put them in Hunt, and I'm like, why?
No, they didn't. What do you mean?
There's charms in Hunt Showdown now.
Okay, no, heirloom is $160.
What?
Yeah, to be like
Money?
the charms in Hunt are charms.
Money?
The heirlooms, like, coming a little bit more popular. This race was the first one in the game, and you have to buy 24 other collectible cosmetics in an event to get an heirloom, and it's only available at that time. And then after that, you can only get it if you get heirloom shards, which are 1 in every 500 packs that you might open. And I think, like, I don't know how much a pack is, maybe like $1 a pack or $3 a pack. I'm not sure. But point is, yeah, I think you have to spend $500 if you want to get the drops to then pick a random one, or you have to spend $160 on an entire event to get the specific one that you want if you're playing during that time that it's released. So, like, they used to be really rare, but a lot of people have them now because a lot of people have been playing for like 4 years, so they've reached the like 500 free packs mark, or they've spent, you know, like sale, they've bought some sale packs and like topped their packs up to the 500 mark.
Wow. I'll be honest, I completely forgot about like the loot box and like cosmetic aspect of this game.
Well, this is free to play.
Yeah, so it makes sense and is to be expected. But I am such a free to play player for almost every game that I play that lets me avoid spending money, that it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. That's insane. I did not know you had to spend a ton of money, or that a lot of people spent that much money to get that heirloom.
Yeah, and people do. I mean, people do. I mean, with 8. Yeah.
Wait, how many do you have?
I have 8, I think.
Those didn't all cost that much, right?
No, they did. One of them I think was free. Well, not free because I also bought packs, but no, they did. That was my money that I spent on that.
Well, you know...
Do I regret it? No.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's your money. If it makes you happy, who am I to judge? I'll judge you later.
I mean, well, you know, like earlier we were talking about Baldur's Gate 3, right? And I said I don't want to buy it because it's 50 quid, and that's a lot of money.
Right.
Right? But I've got almost 4,000 hours in Apex, and I've spent less than £2,000 in Apex, so per hour, great deal of entertainment, of like doing what I love, getting better at my hobby, awesome. Whereas 50 quid on Baldur's Gate, something that I might play for like 4 hours and realize it's not for me, that's really expensive.
You are gonna like when we record the Baldur's Gate episode, me and you, next year, and you have 5,000 hours in that, you're gonna sound so silly in retrospect.
I'm blushing already.
So you've got 4,000 hours. When did you start playing this?
In season 8, and it's now season 17.
Season 8. I've been around.
Yeah, I know, Mr. Season 2 over here.
Season 2, 5 wins.
James, what was the game like before season 8? Tell me.
Well, there was Bone Town. I remember
Skulltown?
Skulltown, yeah. I remember that.
Taking it down to Bone Town.
I feel like there were guns. I liked Pathfinder. I thought he was really funny. I liked Lifeline. I started playing with Gibraltar. These are all things that are still in the game. None of these are changes.
Well, Skulltown was removed.
What happened?
There were disagreements between Skulltown and Olympus. Something had to give.
What?
No, like they just took it out. They changed the maps like they do in Fork Knife, and they took Skulltown out. Everyone complained because it was a big spot for hot dropping and movement, I think, also. So they've brought it back for the mixtape modes, which are like Team Deathmatch, Control, Gun Run.
I don't think there were even those modes when I first started playing. So that's cool.
No, these are new.
That. Yeah, that kind of segues into what I was gonna ask next. Is what are some of the like more either major or if you want to focus on positive changes that you've seen to the game during your storied career as the Apex legend?
I mean, like major changes. I think like the biggest change is how every time a new legend is introduced, it can impact the meta, which again you don't see as much in pubs, although you do, but who gives a fuck about winning a public game? You're just trying to get kills, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, 5.
Am I right, boys?
But the biggest change in the meta, and that has been an ongoing balance issue and is still somewhat contentious today, although we kind of got over him, was the introduction of Seer as a legend. Everything changed when Seer got here.
I don't think I have heard you mention Seer at all today after
I try not
another second place or third place finish. Oh no, it was second place. Yeah. Anyway, that totally didn't happen. What's the big deal about Seer?
So when he was released, he was incredibly overpowered, and like people are always like, "Oh, that's going to be broken." And there has been arguably considerable power creep with a lot of legends. So you take Pathfinder for example. Bro's passive used to be to scan beacons, which he's now had taken away from him. He now goes slightly faster on zip lines. His hand is a zip line every, say, 7 to 20 seconds, depending on how far he grapples. And then his ultimate is a zip line. That's the Pathfinder character. He has zip lines. He's good with zip lines, right?
I remember the scanning days. Sorry, I just had my little grandpa moment there.
Oh, yeah, the beacon. I mean, there's 2 beacons now. But yeah, so, for example, Pathfinder does zip lines. That's his thing. And power creep, the next legend that comes out is going to be a rework of an existing legend, but it's not being called a rework because they're giving him a new name. They're changing Revenant into Rev Reborn, which has its own lore story attached to it. Like, there's reasons for this. They've added on to his history. And what he is going to do is, for a start, he can go fast when crouching, which Old Rev could do. That's irrelevant. Old Rev was great too. I loved him. He wasn't like very strong, but I liked him. He can go fast when crouching. He can climb up walls of almost any height, but most of the walls in the game, they're up to like 6 stories tall. He can climb up. He can have now horizontal movement whilst climbing up. He used to just be able to go like up, and now he can go left and right with greater degree whilst climbing, so he's very much like a spider boy. He has a pounce, which he can charge up, so he can just pounce forward like a large jump, or he can charge it up and leap forward almost as far as a single jump on an Octane jump pad. which he can also do into the side of a wall and then stick to it halfway up and then do his climb. And that's just his tactical. And then his other passive, other than climbing left, right, and along the floor fast, is if he gets an enemy low, his whole team can see which one is low, and it will track them for like a second or two behind a wall for the whole team with a marker. And then his ultimate ability, he now gets a big ball around him that's an additional 75 health. It's massive, so it's very easy to hit and shoot him when he has it. But if he's already got red shields and he's down somebody and you've cracked him and then he pops this, you know, that's a free 75 health that also recharges if he stops taking damage. And also his, I think it either recharges when you knock someone or his Q, his like pounce cooldown resets if you knock somebody during the ultimate. So he has all of that. Pathfinder, remember? Zipline.
Yeah, zipline and funny grappling hook thing.
Yeah, which is a small zipline.
Yeah. Well, I won't get into the technicals of it.
No,
some would
argue.
argue.
But,
Here. Yeah.
So, there's a thing about power creep, right? Seer was released, and his Q was massive. Now, Seer's tactical ability, his Q, is a massive tube, an imaginary tube that goes out in a straight line for like 20 meters, or maybe longer at the time, and was about 8 meters wide. A big circular tube of imaginary circular tube. And if any enemy was in that tube, they would be scanned, visible through walls, they would get stunned, they would take damage, and anything they were doing would be cancelled. So if they were batting, it would stop the bat. If they were rezzing somebody, it would stop the res. And this is like a no-skill ability, okay? Just straight through walls.
So you just aim it, cylinder goes through a thing or tube or whatever you call it, and then everyone in it is just kind of fucked for however long.
Yeah. So say you were third-partying a fight, one team has just fought another team, they've won, but somebody hasn't healed yet, somebody's knocked, somebody's just shield swapped. You Q them, it stops the res. It stops the guy from popping a med kit or popping a bat if all the shield swaps have been used already. It completely resets everything they were then doing. So if you, say, arrive 4 seconds afterwards, they've almost finished batting. They've almost finished rezzing. They've almost finished recuperating. You throw that Q at them from, like, 20 meters away, if you're on your way, or closer. It resets it and gives your team enough time to get there for free, and you can see them through walls, and it reveals how much health they have.
And you hurt
So you
them.
know if they've reset or not. And you hurt them, and they're stunned. So, not only that, by the way.
What?
Seer, as his passive ability, remember Pathfinder's passive was Scan Beacon?
Right, and now it's zipline fast, right?
Oh, now it's, zipline faster. Seer, permanently, for the price of walking slightly slower, has wall hacks.
No.
The entire game, he gets a circle, and it goes orange if somebody's directly in front of it, or it'll have a little heartbeat with like an arrow type graphic in the direction where somebody is, and he can just turn his hands to look at it, and then it'll go full yellow, and he knows he's there. Then he can press his Q and throw it at them, that whole team, and everyone is engulfed in his massive Q. Permanent wall hacks. So if we take this to ranked, a lot of people, like, their team might die and they would escape, so they would rat, right, until the final circle. They would, like, hide in little holes, they would they would avoid the fight because they're solo. A Seer comes by, fuck off, mate. Sorry, back to lobby. That team has a Seer and he can see everybody the entire time, no cooldown, and that was the worst, most misguided fucking bullshit that Apex has ever introduced to the video game.
Tell me how you really
Every
feel.
every team had a Seer. Nobody wanted to play the fucker because he's boring as shit. Oh, and his ultimate, a giant dome that you just throw out.
Oh, the cylinder wasn't his ultimate?
No, that was his tactical on a reasonably short cooldown. His ultimate ability was a giant dome made of the same shit as his tactical, where anytime anyone moved in it, if they were standing up, you could see them.
Well,
So you couldn't get pushed, or you could, in a fight, you had permanent footstep wall hacks unless they want it to crawl up to you, but obviously they're then vulnerable because they're fucking crouched and easy to shoot at. Yeah, so he really ruined the game for quite some time, and then they dialed him back a bit. He was still used a lot in like ranked and stuff after that because of the permanent wall hacks, and then they had to sort of like dial those back a bit again to make it on a slight cooldown, but also not really. It's still very permanent. And they changed his Q to only reveal people briefly. But then recently they buffed it again to all the things that I spoke to you about earlier. So you get a stun. You can't use your abilities for 10 seconds, so you're silenced, which used to be a Revenant ability, but now they're changing Rev. They're putting it to Seer's Q.
Sounds like
and
he
yeah,
needed
you slow for 3 seconds. So that's like the worst thing that they ever did was introduce this. It's called a scan meta. People were already like, okay, Bloodhound does that. It's quite strong. Every team used to have a Bloodhound. But Bloodhound would scan like once every 20 seconds, and he would get like a snapshot for 2 seconds of what he's looking at.
Right.
Seer throws his Q out, he stops everyone from doing anything they want and can see them all the time, regardless.
Well, it's in his
He
name.
can say, oh, there's a team there.
I think
Oh
he's
my god,
entitled to
it was stupid. That was such a long rant, and I apologize. Cut it all out. Cut it all out. He's just awful.
I like the idea of them in the exec room. Like, his name is Seer. What can this champion do? Anything that involves seeing people. Yeah.
Damage.
Yeah, well, if he sees them, but then they move, is he really seeing them? Alright, put in the stun. If he sees them reviving, but they get the revive off, then that would be a change. So, yeah, have him stop that, too. So
yeah, if he watched that happen in front of him, that might make the Seer player sad. Don't let them do that. Right, it was so misguided and such a power creep. It was laughable. You have to, like, there are some moments in video games where you just say to yourself, like, are the devs okay? They've been doing a good job so far. Great job so far. But then they do something like that and you're like, is there, like, a new... Did they hire someone new? Like, did it change... Did the company get sold? Like, did Elon buy shares? What's going on?
Apex Legends is now part of X.
Apex X. Yeah. Apex.
X Legend. We'll workshop it. Yeah.
We'll come back to it.
For people from the future listening to this, there was once a site called Twitter. It will now either be called X by the time you're listening to this, or it doesn't exist anymore. But I'm sure this will age very well.
He's hoping.
Yeah. Fingers crossed that site finally dies. Well, I feel like you already told me the change that you feel strongest about. Are there any non-Seer related changes that have blighted the game, or is that the biggest one that has space in your mind?
No, I think that's the most notable. Like, most of the time it would be a small map change, which, you know, it's more a subjective thing. People don't like Broken Moon, the newest map. I really like it, but it's not great for 20 bombs, I guess, maybe, but I've seen plenty of 20 bomb videos on it. So a lot of the stuff is subjective, like weapon balance changes. The new gun Nemesis is incredibly strong, but they're not nerfing it because it's like mixed up the meta slightly, and I think they needed more energy weapons in the loot pool to make up for the loot distribution. So like if they used to have the bow on the floor,
I remember the bow.
Fuck the bow too.
Yeah. Wait, fuck it as in it's not good or it's too good?
It was too good. They nerfed it, but it also used to be on the floor. And because of the loot distribution pool, they would have to put arrows everywhere, and it could only be used by one weapon, right? So it was like taking up precious space, but you also had to make sure that any bow users were supplied for. So I think like with the release of the Nemesis, and there's just the vault on the floor, and the L-Star is in the care package at the moment, I think what they want is just to really make it easier for them to how to distribute the ammo, right? So it's like, oh, we need to put energy on the floor, we need to make sure the vault users have enough, but like it's taking up precious room from the 7 light weapon guns that we have. Let's make a new green one. Let's add another green energy weapon into the game. I don't care if it's too strong. And so that's kind of like the meta, but something like that is never as intrusive as a legend like Seer, who has incredible power creep and is just disgusting in every single way, and it's not fun to play against because anyone can pick up a nemesis, right? You can play any character and pick up a nemesis.
Earlier today.
You did?
Yeah, and I killed someone with it. Yeah, it ruled.
Filthy boy.
Okay. I was an animal! It was pretty badass.
You did. You got a kill with that one.
Yeah.
Was that one of your 2?
It was one of my 4 today. Watch it.
No, sorry, I meant in that game.
Oh, yeah. It made up 50% of my kills that match. Not to throw out some crazy statistics, but...
But other than that, like, I don't think there's enough... Like, it's quite... You can't really add, like, huge changes all the time to games like Apex, because without offending a lot of players and, like, a lot of risk...
You don't want to upset the sensitive Apex gamers.
They are a sensitive bunch. You heard what I told you when they were going to take out tap strafing?
Yeah.
Oh my god, X was alight with tweets.
And I...
Don't call
what
do we call tweets now?
No, they're tweets. It's still Twitter. Do not give
okay.
me... Yeah, and I just listened to someone complaining about when Seer first came out, and I was like, holy shit, it sounds like Seer just killed this lady's family. So yeah, they're a sensitive crew.
Well, it felt like that. But this game was the love of my life for a long time, and then he came out, and I'm like, oh, you don't want me to play this? Because I'll tell you what, I had 2,000 hours in Overwatch, and they released Brigitte. On release was the most disgusting, misguided Seer type thing of Overwatch, and guess who doesn't play Overwatch anymore? Yes, this guy.
I feel like anytime something bad happens to you, I'm just going to call it like a Seer incident now. This is a Seer-like event.
Yeah. That's fear.
This is Seer.
That's fear? That's fine. But the thing is, Seer's not even my most hated character in the game. Like, fuck him, sure.
Who's the most hated?
For me, personally, I despise to the point that I can play a game without this character in it, like in Mixtape, and I'll have a great time, and I won't realize why until I reflect upon it. I go, oh, it's because the enemy team didn't have a Horizon. All of my raging, all of my screaming, all of my fuck you, all of my rants to myself when I play alone and I watch my clips back are about this fucking disgusting little slimy Scottish bitch.
What does Horizon do that makes you so upset?
Well, first, she doesn't have footsteps. Mm-hmm. Apex Audio, notoriously their weak point. Unlike on Showdown, where if somebody else is on the map in Hunt, you know exactly what fucking floorboard they're standing on 3 compounds away. You can, like, pinpoint them precisely. A Horizon could be shooting you in the back the entire time you're fighting somebody else and you wouldn't know she was there. Because, I don't know specifically the reason, this is just a bit of a guess. Footsteps in Apex shit, anyway, sometimes don't happen, especially like an Octane running or a Bloodhound in ult can be a bit shitty. Horizon has a passive which makes her not take stun when she falls from a height, right? Any height she'll slip when she hits the ground because her tactical is a lift, so when she jumps out of that she slides on the floor quite elegantly. It makes that not feel like clunky, right?
Right.
This paired with her theme of like space means that her walk is like long, broad steps. Like her stride is very wide, and she sort of walks on her toes. So if you were gonna
like she's tiptoeing,
record yeah, but with big like almost skipping steps,
like a ballerina.
Yeah, but because she's a space lady, right? So she doesn't really her gravity. Her whole thing is gravity, so she's like slightly affected by it less.
Yeah.
So
like
if you were gonna be the audio guy for this, and you're going, all right, I'm looking at the animation. I would love it. Would you like that, James?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'd take little balls of cotton and throw them really hard at a snowbank.
I think that's what he did, or she. I think that's what they did. Because this bitch is fucking inaudible and thinks that she's good at the game. Sorry,
yeah,
love.
She's not even.
Just because I didn't hear you. Just because I didn't hear you and you managed to crack me before I knew that you existed in my... Like, you were touching me, tit to ass, doesn't mean that you're better than me. It means that you are fucking boosted from the fact that your fucking legend has no goddamn audio and any Horizon in Masters, outside of Season 12 and this season where everybody is in fucking Masters, is a diamond player on any other fucking character. I don't give a shit, especially if they're on controller. It's disgusting. And because she has her fucking gravity lift, that's quite quiet too. If you're in a fight on top of a building when you're shooting down, the likelihood that you hear her gravity lift behind you is like 5%, okay? And it can take a whole team up it if she wanted to, multiple times. Not like Pathfinder, he can get up himself. Sure, his team is still down below, and it's once for him. Horizon's full team, about 3 times they could cycle up that thing, silently. And then she jumps out of it silently onto the high ground behind you. Do you know she's there? No. Has she got a PK? Probably. Have you just been hit for 120 in the back of the head? Silently? Yes, you have. Fuck off, Horizon. Scan me, sir. Fucking scan me, bitch, all day long. Because I know you're coming, because you've just scanned me. And that's where I stand on that. And the lady shall not be moved. She is not for turning.
Alright. I like that. Note to self, I will get... Would you say Horizon was the character's name?
Yeah.
Alright, just get that with my V-Bucks. This one's kind of a self-report here. This is a question for me, but for you. What do you think of the time to kill in this game? Like, how long it takes to kill people? Because I
love it.
Because I used to think it was too short, but then I was playing with you today, and I was like, you know what? A couple times I had, like, instantly died, but that's because I was in a really bad spot. I'm finding time to recharge here, but what do you love about the time to kill in this?
I think it's gorgeous, because in a game like Valorant, it's just bang, you're dead, bang, you're dead. Right?
You're gone.
Yeah, and you don't know, sometimes you don't even know that the guy's fucking there and you're already, like, much like Horizon, right? If she was there.
Oh god, this is another seer incident.
But Apex, it's very rare that unless you're playing against a Horizon, a controller player within
Same
like
thing,
3
am I
meters
right?
of them.
Okay.
Most Horizons are controller players, I'm just statistically. But if you're playing not within 3 meters of a controller player, and there's mild distance or there's a door nearby, likelihood is you're not gonna die. You're gonna get a chance to get away, maybe pop a bat, maybe not, but they have to push you and try and get through a door, and that sort of like evens the playing ground a little bit, because like you've got time to try and pop a bat, or they can kick the door, but you can cancel your bat and then shoot them while they're in the door kick, and like this degree of have taken damage first because they started shooting first or they got in a better shot than me, but that doesn't mean it's over. And I like the length of the fights in Apex. You can damage farm off another team for fucking ages because neither team wants to like properly push. You could always get away, especially like as a Wraith player. They can't kill you before you can get your Q off a lot of the time unless multiple people are shooting at you, or maybe you get stunned. And as the person shooting, it feels very rewarding to get off like a 1 clip, for example, on somebody.
Right.
Or just like a meaty, like, okay, I've cracked them, I hit them for like 120. We can push because it would take them 5 seconds to bat if you're less than 5 seconds away. Or, you know, if they get far enough away or are with their team so they can heal up, you can then also like heal your small amount of damage and go again. And you also get a good idea for how proficient they are with their weapons, right? By the damage exchange previously, so you know how aggressive you can be. I just really love it. I think it feels fair a lot of the time, which is what I don't like about Horizon. It doesn't feel fair. But the time that it takes both to shoot at somebody and to be shot by somebody, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
In Apex.
I think I got some of my, like, shyness and complaints about the time to kill from close quarters fighting. But even that, I feel like, was just an experience. It wasn't as bad today. I just remember getting into, like, hot drops and, like, getting deleted in, like, 5 seconds because someone picked up an alternator and I have an arc star. I think you're entirely right. In my head, the time to kill is so much shorter than it actually is. When we were playing today, I'm a fairly infrequent player. Some would say novice. Some would say bad. And I still, like, I'd hit somebody, they'd hit me, we'd take cover, charge up our battery shield thingy, and have another go at it. And so, if you're also an arthritic old man pensioner like myself, nearly 30 years old now, and you're like, I don't think I can keep up with those Gen Z and Gen Alpha kids flying along walls, you're probably right, but you could still hit a few of them. You could still land a few shots.
I think also it comes back to the movement, right? Like, you would stand still to shoot. Not necessarily now, but previously, perhaps. We all did. We'd all be like, oh, stand still, shoot, maybe slight AD strafe.
Oh, I love my AD
and that's so
strafing.
easy to one clip.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're moving, you're adding, there's certain ways to, like, AD strafe and duck that are very popular, like crouch at the same time. If you walk forward before AD strafing, you'll have a different head movement pattern than if you walk backwards before AD strafing, so your head would be on the outside versus the inside of your turn. And then if you add a crouch, your head movement is much more of a significant, like, swoosh pattern. So, like, there's all, like, little shit like that. So even in, like, basic movement that you can consider to make yourself a lot harder to be one-clipped, that you'll learn, like, just passively from watching, like, shooting people and going, wow, that was a cool strafe that they did. That was hard to hit. What were they doing? Typically Horizon, because they're so fucking tall that when they...
Alright, hold on. Let's... easy, killer, easy. She's not real.
Yeah,
She's
like,
not real.
Stuff like that is what slows down the TTK, I think, a lot in Apex, is just movement, the amount of cover, how people will learn to play. But yeah, obviously, like, if you're standing in front of somebody and you're not moving, it's a very high. Yeah. It's like less than 2 seconds to kill somebody with an SMG.
How viable would you say is ratting in this game for the people who like to creep along? Maybe more of the Hunt Showdown, Escape from Tarkov people that like to crouch for the entirety of the game. Is there a place for them here?
In ranked, for sure. Like, this season, they would be masters with the... No, like, legitimately, this season they fucked it up. There's, like, 1.3 million people in Masters this season, which, for context, used to be, like, 0.05% of the player base, is now 30% because they fucked it up.
Is it like a setup where you have to, like, win a certain number of matches, or is it just an accumulation of points that...
It's an accumulation of points.
Oh, that's... I feel like you should have to, like, win 3 in a row without losing in order to, like, advance to the next rank. Or at that level, I feel like it should be much harder, but that's a different topic.
Well, it used to be, so you need 15,000, it used to be 10,000. You need 15,000 points to get to Masters. And it used to be, you would pay an amount of points to entry into the game. So if you were new, if you were in Bronze, it would be like, I don't know the specific points, but say 20 points if you were in Bronze to play that game.
Right.
Out of your points pool, which you're earning from winning. But by the time you got to Pred, it was like, or Masters, it was 60 points to play a game. So if you lost, you lose 60 points, but if you win, you might only earn 150. So if you don't come in the top 4 or 5, then teams, you would lose points typically. If you died off drop 3 times in a row, you're down 180 points. Like, that's a big deal.
Right.
And so it used to be like this incremental cost to playing. The better you got, the harder the games got, obviously, because you're playing against better players. You get points for kills too. So there was you want to fight to get your KP up, so you got extra points, so you could get like 200 points. But if you fight too many people, you're going to die because you're going to attract a third party. You're not playing safe. You're not going to get the extra points from the win. The win nets you like 100 points, say.
Right.
So people were like getting 3 kills and winning, and they were getting like 100 points a game, whatever. It was a slow climb. This season, it was like 30 points for anybody. Anybody come in, and then if you got like 10th or higher, you would get positive points. So people were just coming in, going into the ring, taking heat shields, taking meds, and just healing, not fighting until they got like 8th place, and then going next, and doing that to Masters because it was so easy.
And that's still this season?
That's this season.
When does the season end? When does the season end?
Tuesday.
Oh, fuck. I don't have enough time.
It's like it's been like 90 days of it.
This is my time.
This is my chance. And usually there's a split too. Like, there's 2 halves of a season where they'll make like slight changes, change the maps. This season they're like, you know what? Let's get rid of split. We'll have a 90-day season or a 60-day season, whatever it is. I think it's 60. Cool, guys. So proud of everybody in Masters in Season 17. Good job, buds. Good job.
Damn.
Great ratting.
Splendid.
So yeah, ratting is viable, but it's something that you wouldn't do outside of
Ranked.
trying to, like, scrape a few more, like, placement points for your team in Ranked. Yeah. Or in LGS. But in pubs, like, there's no point.
Well,
like, you're not playing. No one else is doing it.
This is great news for my buddies in the ALGS. We'll really ride this strategy to the bank. It is very funny to me that this this information will be out of date by exactly 1 day when this episode publishes on Wednesday.
Well, we hope so. They're making changes to Rank, but we don't know if they're going to be enough.
All right, EA. That's the people who publish this game, right? Who's like the dev team? Do you know off the top of your head? Respawn. If you're listening to this somehow before I have it published, do not change the rat favoring ranked system. This is my era. Okay, they probably heard me.
You done?
Yes. This is my moment. In a positive question that has nothing to do with Horizon, do you have any favorite weapons, little doodads or gadgets that you enjoy in this game that warm the cockles of your heart?
You didn't need to caveat Horizon there. She wasn't going to come up.
Well, that's what I thought in the last one, and then she reared her ugly head.
Yeah, she will do that. Unexpected, right?
Am I right?
Yeah, you know what it's like. Yeah, so I think that my favorite things in the game are SMGs. They're my favorite weapon. The R9 specifically used to be my baby. Then I went to the car, and then I came back to the R9 because they nerfed the car. And now next season they're nerfing the R9, so I might be saying hello to the car again. But if you put me in any like mixtape game, just close combat, give me 2 R9s. Give me 3 if I'm playing ballistic. I don't give a shit. I don't care about other weapons. I just want the R9, and I am blissful.
She's full of bliss.
She is. I had a gold one today. We bought a gold one from Big Maud.
I know who that is.
Apex does town takeovers where the individual legends will change a little bit of the map based on something to do with them. So like the Mirage Voyage, for example, like Mirage has that ship where you can land on it, there's a bunch of like loot balls, and there's a party that you can activate of Mirage holograms. Ramparts is where we landed on another ship. They're not very creative. Another ship-based object, and inside there were those juice machines, and then the gun-selling vending machines, and you were upset because you couldn't afford 100 juice.
Right.
Remember that?
I do. I'm glad you brought that up. It was a sore subject, but I feel like this is like exposure therapy, and I'm learning to deal with my poverty.
I really like these little changes they made. They made one for like Lifeline on Olympus, which has the only like healing pad in the game, so it's like a giant circle in the middle of a building that has the same properties as Dock, so it heals you whenever you stand on it.
Oh, that's fun.
But people don't like go there very often,
Aww.
which is sad. People don't go to Big Maud that much, or the Mirage Voyage. There's going to be a Watson one next season, which I'm excited about because Watson's my girl. Love that bitch. What up, Poe, if you're listening?
Yeah.
Peace up.
Mirage, if you're listening, I hate you.
No, we've talked about
we
this.
Have.
He has the saddest story.
Oh, his pork chops. His pork chops.
Misses his pork chops.
He sounds like an MCU character, and it drives me up the fucking wall.
Okay.
I guess
if you describe him like that
just happened. They're right behind me, aren't they? Pork chops. Tell me you didn't
wow,
think...
you know so much about Apex Legends.
Yeah, tell me that wasn't just Mirage in the call with us.
No, I thought that you switched Legends. I was like, wait, what? Did he just switch from Lifeline to Morongo? I call him Morongo, but we are on like that sort of basis.
Yeah. I hate him. I love everyone else, though.
I hate that about you. Just so you know.
That I hate
that you hate Mirage.
Why?
One, he's like the most innocuous like legend in the game, like so underpowered for so long, even now terrible outside of VR.
Oh, it's just his personality.
Does nothing.
It's just his personality.
Personality, funny, humorous, pleasant, nice to be around. In a game with like murder bots and fucking Horizon, and like you want to go in on little happy-go-lucky sweetheart.
That's because
Mirage, who just loves his mum.
everybody knows the Murder Bot and Horizon are evil, but no one knows that Mirage is the agent of the Demiurge.
No, I mean, what season do you reckon they'll reveal that?
What season are we on now?
Spoilers.
Yes.
17.
Oh, wow.
We're getting old.
Yeah. I had to break out my cane to install this. Hobbled over to my computer. Blew dust off my keyboard.
I can't wait to be, like, really old and playing games. Like, I can wait, because, like, that's a dumb thing to wish your life away for. But at the same time, like, I think it will be enough of a hook, although I think everybody will be doing it by this point, but, like, I would like to be an old Twitch streamer. Like, I am an old Twitch streamer, but, like a visibly granny Twitch streamer.
I think I've missed the boat on being young, cool Twitch streamer. I think the next important thing is eat healthy, exercise, make sure you live a nice long life so you can cash in when you're 80, and then just play the games that you were playing right now.
Yeah, I'm worried that that's going to be like an oversaturated market soon.
You have to wait for other people to start dying off.
Yeah, well, not like that, but I mean, like, it will have been done. You know, like that lovely lady on YouTube that plays,
Skyrim?
like, Nintendo games?
No, I don't know that lady.
And she has, or maybe it's not just Nintendo, but I think she might play Final Fantasy or something like that. Like, some pretty game. She's got all, like, figurines, too. Like, good for her. I love that. She's a sweetheart. But, like, could you, like, if you want that, like, that would still be open for me to do when I'm, like, 55.
Okay, well, I don't think you'll have to worry about her being a competitor when you're that age, so.
Oh, that's sad, because then somebody will say that about me, too, and I'm...
Well, maybe we'll be brains in jars eventually, so...
I'm not going to have the dexterity to play Apex Legends as a brain in a jar.
I think my level will probably stay roughly the same, but yeah, you'll definitely suffer. I think I could learn to...
With my large hands. My strong hands.
Do you have any... Speaking of horrific imagery, like jars brains in jars. Yeah. Do you have any fun stories from Apex Legends, perhaps horror or success stories with randos? Because I know you love playing with randos, and you've never, I don't know, recorded said highlights or moments before and then sent them to me.
I haven't played BR until today for 2 seasons. And before that, I exclusively played no-fill BR for another season or so. So I would play without teammates intentionally, and it's not in like some cocky way. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit like I don't need teammates, whatever. But it was mostly, I felt that teammates, even if they're nice or completely quiet, which is majority of the time, and I've heard better players than me say that, which felt good because I thought, oh, maybe it's just an excuse that I'm using. But if a teammate goes down instantly and you try and like protect them or help them, and then you're just in a shit situation because they are shit at the game, so they don't have game sense, they have bad positioning, etc. So you play differently to try and protect these people, and then you get fucked because you're in a scenario that you'd never be in with your own game sense, right?
Right.
And I found that more often than not, like, I'm not a very selfish player at all. I hate playing with people. They can just fuck off, and I hate all of my teammates, but the way that I play isn't how that I feel, right? Not my friends, like you guys, but like strangers.
Oh, okay.
So the way that I play is very, like, oh god, did you want to pick up that shield first? Oh, sorry, I'll die for you. Like, don't worry, like, you'll get away, I'll cut, like, that's my play style, even though inside I'm like, this fucking bot, bro, get this fucking bot off my team, what the fuck is like, that's my brain. So I just had to stop playing with people because it was getting me killed. I'd rather 1v3 slowly on my terms than 3v3 on my teammates' terms, because I would often perform better. I could kill 3 people more easily than with the help of 2 players that weren't very good at the game. Right, because you also, when you rely on teammates, you think maybe they'll cover me, maybe they've done some damage because they've just shot 2 rounds, like a round from both of their weapons, and then you push somebody aggressively, take a wide angle, not very smart, but you think that they're low and they're full health because your teammate fucking missed. Just stuff like that, right? You know everything that's happening if you play on your own. So, like, that's mostly my experience playing with other people. I played ranked with some fun misogynists a lot before that also.
Okay. Kind of redundant there. You could have just said misogynists. Usually very kind, fun, empathetic people. That
was a tautology. Yeah, so people, men, for some reason, this is something, I have this, it goes on for like a full game, but you can't be right or good as a woman playing with these people. I'm just going to say men in general, especially, I don't know why, but like Eastern European men, a lot of the time, it was my experience. Actually, no, there's a lot of British men also, like, but whatever. My teammates telling me how to play the game the entire time. Okay, he's telling me what to do, he's dead. Then he dies, right? Okay, you're dead. Is he gonna shut up? No. Now the other one's telling me what to do. He's saying, don't come back. So, alright, so I don't come back. And he's like, where are you? I'm like, you told me not to come back. So I'm over here. Okay, I'll come to you. Alright, so he comes to me. Whatever. Then we have another fight and he dies. So I'm ratting, right? Until there's the final fight when I want to push and play whatever. But the whole time I'm ratting, when I want to move, because the ring's coming in, reposition. No, you've left it too late. No, you do this wrong. And I just say to him, I'm sorry, mate. I didn't realise that you played so perfectly, because on my screen, you're already dead. So perhaps I don't want advice from you. Maybe you don't know how to play the game. Anyway, I played it my way. I secured us a second. I killed the kill leader that was like some fucking Masters Smurf cunt because of how I rotated. I was able to shoot him in the back because I knew he wouldn't expect me to be there. So I shot him in the back, got the advantage, killed him, killed the kill leader, fuck off. I'd seen him on the champion screen, knew exactly who he was, and then pushed the final fight after killing him, secured us second place. One guy, the guy that was telling me what to do, but like in a nice, oh, you're a woman so you don't know what to do way, said GG. The guy who was just telling me that I was wrong because I was a woman instantly leaves.
And you got them second place?
You're welcome. Yeah, you're fucking welcome, cunt. By playing my way. And I said to him, I said, well, I guess I was right. Huh. And he just leaves. Like, fuck you. I should have just grenaded myself. That's something that I also do a lot. If like somebody's like calls me a bitch, then I kill myself in game.
Okay, yeah. Make sure
because
you put that
fuck you, I don't want to play with you. Like, there is like, this isn't as important to me as ruining your game. Like, no, I don't care about my own points. I'm not helping you if you're going to be like aggressively misogynist as opposed to just passive aggressively misogynist by thinking that I'm completely incompetent despite the fact that you're dead and I'm alive. So that's just like, that one was particularly egregious with the two of them trying to control everything that I did, even though they were demonstrably worse than me, and I could tell that from their banners, right? They didn't have as much experience as me. I could tell that from their damage and kills, that they'd done a lot less than me in the game.
I mean, damage and kills can be a little misleading. Some would assume that I am not that great due to things like statistics and numbers that are displayed on my banner, but I actually secured 5 wins in Season 2, which is displayed on my banner and is a good statistic, but let's just be careful.
That's intimidating. You've been playing for a long time.
Yeah, well, a good example of the statistics not being very accurate.
I mean, that's true. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen, I've died to... Well, I mean, if I died to someone with poor statistics, you call it roller and you move on, right?
I believe I've seen you call people bots.
I mean, you can die to bots. They have controllers, too. Like, not every... And also, maybe you're already low. Maybe you've just slid through the zone to kill the bots. And you've taken, like, over 50 health points of damage. And you think they can't hear you, but they're hiding either side of a doorway, crouched, ready for you to open the door and shoot them.
A very vivid
because
picture.
They play like pussies.
It's like I'm there.
Yeah, I mean, there's something I can imagine happening, probably, maybe in the future.
Yeah, or the recent past.
And then you did 300 damage to them later on.
I mean, yeah, in this hypothetical situation, I did do 300 damage after you had left the game and then asked me to stream it in Discord while I was in a firefight with them.
They tried to spam finish me. I was not going to stay in the video game with a spam finisher when it has a basic skin.
I love how you stick to your values in Apex. Like, you'll just, oh, fuck it, I'm not giving them the satisfaction, and then you'll just disconnect. You'll just fucking leave.
I play Wraith, that's like our passive.
Yeah, I saw you go invisible and then disconnect.
Yeah, I'm advanced. I'm not new. You think I'm a bot? No.
They're just stuck wondering, where'd she go?
In my defense, when I went invisible and then left, it was when I was screaming at you to cover me and you were just running away at full HP from...
I was exercising self-preservation.
Right.
And then I died, so...
Yeah.
That's why I need to keep exercising. Clearly I'm not very good.
The small muscles and the preservation muscles a bit weak.
Yeah, definitely need to figure out which machine bulks those up. Do you have any words for the Apex Legends dev team, anyone listening here that has any sort of sway at EA, before we wrap up the episode?
A little bit annoyed about the PK buffs next season. Just querying why you might think a gun that could land silently behind you from a Horizon Q should be able to do, like, that can already do over 100 damage in one shot and two shot you should be more powerful. I'm just querying that. Also, whoever came up with Horizon and or just the sound guy, maybe like reconsider their place at the company. Maybe we could get a few footsteps for her. Just audio. I don't care that she's the most irritating person in the game. I don't care that her voice lines are dumb as fuck. I don't care that she looks like an idiot whenever she walks around.
Wait, what are her voice lines? What does she say?
I'm not doing it.
They
all start with "Okayoko, oh Malu," like they all start like that.
You sounded like a sim. Ooh, I'm Weenum. Moo Dupree.
But so when like you die to somebody, right? They have like a voice line on.
Yeah.
Like you get the voice line if they kill you, and because I play a lot of mixtape, you die to the same person a lot. And when it's just some silent cunt like third partying me over and over and over and over and over again in the same game because I can't hear it, and you just get okay every time you fall down. Oh my god. And then you look at it and it's just skipping around and its heirloom looks like a vibrator. It's just like, oh, just fuck off out of my video game. You're trash. Play a different character and see if you do as well.
Do you hear that, Apex team? You have 5 days to comply with our demands. Anything to plug before we go to?
No.
No
Thank
plugs. You. Leave it out of the outlet.
Plugs.
Do not even plug it in once. All right, Clem. This has been a treat, a pleasure. We actually played the game a little bit today. That was nice.
Yeah, was nice.
I might leave this game installed. You know, I might hit you up.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm down for being hit up, even by a novice.
Well, season 2 veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Five wins.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of like a founding father, really. Anyway, that's not important. Can you say the line?
NPC you later.